Brian Wang, I have a question for you.
Mhm.
Has anything that's happened in the last couple of days changed any of your predictions, projections with regard to when Tesla hits these various stock price milestones that you and I are always willing to put right out there?
Right. Um, so I think the main thing about whether we go significantly past, we can go 550 based on activities happening now. So we can go
Okay.
up to go from 450, I think this morning, up to 550, like another 20% move just from um the overall market doing really, really well. There's a bunch of activity where people are positive enough about Robotaxi. It's not like exact days, and then positive enough about other aspects of Tesla's financials that we can get there. I don't. I did go over some details around the Robotaxi accident level in Austin.
Mhm.
So that still, even when I factor that in, I still think we're heading towards a Q2 as where it's majorly solved, and
Majorly.
then that, yeah, and then that affects the price for next year. As
What do
like,
you,
yeah,
so you need to give me a definition. So Elon has said we would have three cities or th eight cities that would be testing by the end of the year. Earlier, he had said three cities where we'd be rolled out, or recently, at least Austin without any safety driver.
mhm.
So is that all still in your analysis, or do you think you're pushing things back to second quarter?
No, no, I'm still saying that they will have 8 to 10 pilots going because pilots with safety drivers, safety riders
Uh-huh.
is just a matter of whenever Tesla and Elon choose to do it.
Right.
There's no like limitation
Right.
in any other way other than when do they choose to do it.
Okay.
So if they're confident enough with that, then that is a choice to happen. Them starting to remove the safety monitor in December will basically, I think now be they won't remove them all in a one go. It'll be like partial,
Mhm.
and then they will see how well it goes. So it will take like a month or so, maybe 6 weeks, for them to see
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
everything's going fine because they're doing that uh, safety priority first,
Right. Right.
right?
Okay.
So then you question about um, stock pricing. I think we need to see really good numbers out of China. And then I think so basically we're still heading to, a little over 500,000, I think, vehicles for the quarter. And then that should continue for next year. And then with the release, they're saying that they'll release some um, Cybercabs in Q2 with um, pedals and steering wheel, which is, the big news, whatever. So that to me seems to guarantee that the volume on Cybercab for 2026 should be 200,000 to 300, 150 to 350,000 vehicles.
Okay.
Is what I'm, yeah,
Let me clap back here real quick.
sure.
I didn't see any news. Maybe I missed it that
Yeah,
they are going to release are going to release any cyber cabs with pedals and steering
right,
wheels. What I
right.
heard Robin Denholm say was we could. It
Yeah,
would take some engineering, and if necessary, or if we thought we needed them, we could. But I
yeah.
didn't hear any announcement that they are going to do it.
Right, right. They didn't say
Okay.
are.
Okay. Okay.
So your point is correct. And it's dependent upon, they prefer not to.
Yeah.
And that basically in Q2, 5 months away, 6 months away, they would then, if the regulations haven't changed, then they would say, okay, but now we have to put it in just because the regulations haven't changed. If the regulations have changed, then they will not do it correct. But it doesn't seem to me to be a difficult thing to put it in there. Um, and in either scenario, if they can remove steering wheel and pedals and release the number of vehicles, versus they put it in, they are still heading toward a same number of vehicles produced.
I got it. Okay.
So 150 to 350,000 seems to be the number that I'm going to go with. If I was to put a number to it, I would put it like at 240,000. They make about 80,000 per quarter,
Mhm.
starting in Q2, and then they would have the lower price vehicle and then start the lower price vehicle in China. So when they start the lower price vehicle in China, late Q1 and Q2, they will have increased capacity in China so they can make that. So
Mhm.
then you can get more vehicles made in China. So then I think we're looking at the 2.2 to 2.5 million vehicles
For next year.
For next year. Yeah.
Okay.
And that, yeah. And those are, and then continued growth in energy and stuff like that. But then the main thing of like whether we go from 450 to 650 level up to 700 to 1,000 or 1,200 is aggressively going to a lot of robotaxi.
Okay. Mhm. All right. So the 450 to 550, you're saying that can just,
650.
oh, no, earlier I think you said
Yeah,
450.
450.
The
Yeah,
550 would be just
for Q.
the natural tendency. The market is going up. Tesla's going to follow the market.
Right.
No big horrible news.
Yeah,
Good news with Tesla, with Elon's package passing, et cetera.
right.
We could get to 550 just with that.
Yeah.
Between now and the end of the year, between now and the end of November, what are you thinking?
I think the move will happen mostly in November unless it's the market's moving a
Right.
lot in November, December, right? So the market thing is I'm not as clear about, but Tesla's good news should, you know, will be a fair bit in November, December. How much of it will be surprise is not clear. 'Cause I think we're starting to bake in that Elon's going to have his package
Yes,
passed.
yes, right, right.
And then it's a question of, you know, is there anything that they will announce in November, December
Mhm.
that will then, you know, because them actually removing
Right.
the safety monitor is a signal of confidence that they're saying, okay, it might happen, but I don't think it's 100%. I think the market's treating it more like 50% and it could drag into January because Tesla itself has not been as confident.
Right.
So when the confident moves and actually moving forward happens, that realization will um, translate into, um, I think, potential more stock results.
So people were pushing me on my numbers this morning, and so I wanted to confirm that my 750 by the end of the year would include some of the stuff you're talking about. 500 cars without safety riders by the end of the year. Okay, so
Right,
that'd be way ahead of your projection. So
right,
500 cars, even if they're all in Austin, I don't care, but
right.
500 cars without safety riders, three cities of actual pulling the safety riders, which could include Northern California, that
Mhm.
could include Nevada, whatever, but three
Right.
cities, 500 cars. That's always been not always, for the last 6 weeks has always been what I've been saying.
Yeah.
And in order to get to 1,000, though, we need way more cities than that, way more cars on the road, and we probably need a clear indication that Optimus is better than we think right now.
Right. Right. So I think that based on my interpretation of what it is, there was too much hedging in what they said in Q3,
Right,
and so we don't know that that's going to happen,
right,
right? If that goes to your point, my point, your point that if this aggressive move happening, the market has not priced that in,
right.
right? So if it does happen, then we'll go up more aggressively because a lot of the stock movement is based on that. And for people who say, well, I doubt it, you have to show me, blah, blah, blah. If people look in the market, they're seeing insane moves on stocks, based on a lot of, hopium type stuff,
A lot of hope.
right? Like, um, and also like outside the stock market, valuation of $40 billion for Friggear for what? They haven't made anything, right?
Right,
And then, they made some demos. And then you have like, nuclear companies going to $20 billion, no reactor for 5 years. You have quantum computers saying, okay, we're going to do something in quantum company going to 10 billion. And then there's other companies, you know, moving a fair bit. So we're going to say there is clearly willingness to value things based on it's going to happen
right,
in this market,
right.
right?
100%. Okay, so and then the year-end number that I've been putting out is 1,500 to 2,000.
Right.
And I'm saying, and the 1,500 to 2,000 not only
Next year.
requires next year, end of next year,
Yeah.
Not only requires a bunch more cities to be added. I don't have a number, but it needs to be like you're saying. I like your word, aggressively rolling out, and there needs to be actual optimized shipping to third parties.
Mhm.
If we get to both of those, I don't see why 1,500 to 2,000 wouldn't be 100% reasonable. I mean, just almost kind of an average estimate.
Right, right. So if the two scenarios, Robotaxi rolling aggressively means real revenue,
Right,
right? Real revenue, real net income. You you're in your transitioning from Amazon.com to AWS Amazon, right?
right.
Where you get that 5x move, right?
Mhm.
A 10x move. So and you're at your NVIDIA ChatGPT moment where it's happened as you had the realization and they were having following up with quarters where they were massively increasing the profits so that they were up like 5 times the profit. So
Right,
if I have a million Robotaxi, I'm on a $50 billion run rate,
right.
right? So I'm going from $10 billion in profit to 50 billion.
Mhm.
Um, without the aggressiveness of Robotaxi, then once you have the aggressive Robotaxi, then if you have, to your point, some Tesla bots out there in some significant numbers, a
Mhm.
thousand or more, and you have the 1 million per year factory being made, then people say, okay, you did the first impossible thing. Now you're doing the second one, and now I'll start pricing in the second one,
Right,
right?
right.
So then you have the really big valuation, right?
And then you add to those two things, which most people just aren't even paying attention to. You add to which Elon clearly said at the earnings call, unsupervised still by the end of the year, but let's say it's first quarter, who cares? But unsupervised being a thing, Elon says is going to sell a ton of cars. So
Right.
you've got your 2.4, 2.5 million for next year. That would be totally in the bag, I think, with unsupervised if unsupervised rolls out.
Yeah.
And then you've got Tesla Semi, which may, by the end of the year next year, might be at a run rate of 30,000 a year, 40,000 a year, at a run rate of. And again, according to what I heard, uh, the full self-driving or the autonomous driving semi will be something that rolls out with semi. I mean, they're not
Right.
planning for this to be a year later or 2 years later. This is going to be immediate that they are going to switch their
I would say necessarily immediate, but it would be a quarter or two afterwards. Like I could see 2 quarters of cautious things. It would be kind of be there, but not. It would
right.
be it'd be packaged with it, but you're doing this intermediate,
Exactly.
just
Yeah.
like right now.
I think that's fine. Yeah. So if you've got those two additionals, I mean, sure, they're not going to be needle movers in a $25 trillion company, but they are going to be needle movers in a 10 billion profit company. So I,
Right, right.
I would think that those things will have an impact toward the end of next year, seeing everything lining up, all the 2026 things that I've been predicting since February of 2023, 22, right? This is 20,
Yeah.
yeah, since February of 20, no, February 23. All of those things I started talking about 2026 are apparently all going to come together in 2026. And that's why I've got a 1,500 to 2,000 target.
Right. Again, if it's all happening, then it's easier with Robotaxi, and it's easier to believe the other parts. It's
Right,
easier to say it's going to happen with Tesla Bot. It's going to happen with Robo trucking,
right.
and then it goes to um, Elon and them being so confident that it is solved that
Mhm.
they're aggressively putting it out, giving aggressive guidance, saying it's going to happen and we're executing on it. If we're seeing the execution happen, and then they're promising more execution, then the stock will start moving because of it. If they're still in a more um, cautious phase, then how can the investors be confident if they aren't doing it? They have to actually have the confidence to actually execute upon it.
Right. All right. And what do you think? Everybody thinks that Elon will even shift into a higher gear a week from Friday after the comp package passes, or do you think that Elon only knows how to operate on one gear and that, or will they just start making announcements of things that they've already known, or what do you think happens after the pay package is complete?
Yeah. I think that it would be more in his strategic and other interest to be willing to announce things that they've already been working on, because they have things that are playing very closely. On the other hand, he could continue to be cautious in what he's saying and releasing, um, so that he doesn't tip the hand and have other companies copy.
Right.
So it still has to, he will still not announce things until he's pretty much rolling it out.
Hmm.
But there are some things where he could be, um, where it'd be safe for him to tell us things that the other companies can't do anything about, right?
Some people thought that the stock went down a little bit because of the announcement that four vehicles were reported to NHTSA in terms of robotaxis having accidents in Austin, and all we were seeing on the Austin reports that also have been filed on a rigorous basis, that this was there was only one. You pointed this out on the show last
Yeah,
week. There was only one in Austin, which was the first one with the UPS truck, and
yeah,
then we didn't see anything after that. And so then I said yesterday, in my confusion, I said, well, maybe the other three were in San Francisco. It turns out, based
they're
on
Austin.
they're all
Yeah,
Austin, but
yeah,
I'm only guessing one of them we know was maybe in a parking lot, and
yeah.
maybe that wasn't required to turn over to Austin. I don't know.
So, um, the three accidents were known. I think in July or August, it was Electrek and some others who reported. I didn't see that initial announcement because I never read Electrek. I don't, I don't follow, um,
Not a
Lambert.
chance.
But checking on it, it's reported. They reported in July, so even though I didn't know about it, it was known. It was
Mm,
not like hidden information. It
got
was
it.
out there. And then there was another incident in September.
Right.
All of them were fender bendery-ish, although they were over $1,000. And then someone did get hurt, but not in one of them, but not to the point they had to go to a hospital.
Mm,
So, um, so one, the fact that they happened in Austin, three in July, was basically immediately after the rollout. It's when you had only 7,000 miles of driving done,
mm.
right? Or maybe like 20,000, something like that. So really in the early of it. So that means we still have 230,000 miles for the one accident. So the numbers, one got a lot better. There was initial hiccup that worked, was overcome. Um, on the Waymo side of things, they had um, two or three accidents in their testing phase before they even got any customers rolling out. So those are all tracked. And there's the difference between the Austin tracking versus the NHTSA one is that they do have some different reporting levels. And also, it clearly indicates that the Austin numbers are that and a few more. That and a few more for Tesla. The reported amount for Waymo, which was 100 incidents over the testing phase and the operational phase, and like five accidents and four near misses or something like that. So, and then they have maybe more, whereas like some that got reported to NHTSA qualify for NHTSA standard, but didn't get into Austin.
Got it.
But maybe there's not more. Maybe it's just like everything got reported for them. Um, so even when you combine the two data sources and assume that that's everything, then it's still looking fine for Tesla. That the Q3 thing report was things are a lot better. We're doing a lot more miles, and we're having control over how safe things are, and safety is improving dramatically all along the way.
All right. Okay. So switching subjects and gears entirely to SpaceX, there has
Mhm.
been a ton of news over the last few days. Apple made news. The U.S.
Mhm.
government made news with SpaceX at least once, maybe twice.
Mhm.
I mean, we got the moon making news. We've
Yeah.
got milestones. I mean, holy mackerel, there's been a lot of SpaceX. I've been quoting you over and over again that you think SpaceX is the only company that has a shot of beating Tesla to 25 trillion in market cap. Is that still true?
Yes, that is
Okay.
my position. Although NVIDIA is looking good. They're over 5 trillion. NVIDIA, can, triple or more the number of chips shipped. So NVIDIA can get to, 15 or 20 trillion dollars
Okay.
pretty
Okay.
quickly. So they're a competitor. So NVIDIA is no slouch. But I think multiple companies in the 10 trillion to 30 trillion dollar range, would be Tesla, SpaceX, NVIDIA, and then the question is, does xAI, OpenAI, or one of the other pure AI
Right.
plays actually crack something, and then things go
Right.
crazy for them?
Right.
Yeah. So those are my picks for that.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I have pictures of it because SpaceX released it. One on the left is the AI data center thing, which relates to Starship. I'm going to mention how that relates, but first we'll go over the thing on the right, which is new pictures from SpaceX of Starship's human landing system on the moon. You
Okay.
see this massive multi-story thing where it's lowering down something probably larger than a Cybertruck moon vehicle
Mhm.
coming down, because I think a person is like only half as tall
Mm.
as that vehicle. You see that in this thing. We get a closer up look at it, where the people are tiny on the bottom, and then the right we see one where we're looking inside the upper capsule, right, where someone in orbit,
Mm.
someone's floating up there, and then someone's down
Yeah.
below. It's just the size of these things,
Yeah.
right? And then they had some other things showing the airlock larger than anything in the Apollo or whatever size. It's like an ISS size airlock
Yeah.
on this thing, and then a command console level with people by screens. Again, they can fit 100 people into this thing very comfortably. So it's you know so they're showing these results. The reason they show these results or these renderings and other results where they completed 4 nanometer milestones, was because there's pressure to um, get the moon landing done by 2028. Ideally by 2027, but no later than 2028. So
Mhm.
that happens in this administration, and also for political reasons, and also make sure it beats China. I've looked at China's program. They're not going to do anything before 2029, 2030. Everything has to go right for that. Same thing for the other players. I've gone detailed into a deep dive on my own into Blue Origin and another competitor. They won't be able to launch or do any testing until 2027. They have fewer tests they need to do, but that because they're going slower than SpaceX, even with a simpler program, they still can't get it done by 2029 or 2029 at the earliest. Yeah.
Okay. And so basically, the the administration, I forget his name, Duffy.
Duffy Sean Duffy.
Duffy came out and said, "Hey, SpaceX, you're behind. You
Mhm.
you're 3 or 4 months behind your original plan, and therefore we're going to put this thing out to bid and see if we can get other people that want to do this." And Elon says, "What are you even talking about? There's no way these guys are going to even be able to compete. We'll be there." And so where I got confused is Elon is everything that Elon's talking about in terms of going to the moon still the government contract, or is he now talking about a separate SpaceX only mission, which would take something to the moon? That's where I got confused.
So SpaceX is developing Starship, and Starship is adapted into a human landing system for moon missions,
Okay.
right? So if I just have Super Heavy and Starship, I got a picture of that. Um, so you have Super Heavy and Starship. This is the thing that's been tested 11 times, right?
Mhm.
And they made 600 of the engines, of which there's 33, I think, in the bottom, 7 in the top. So 40 engines total, or 42 engines total. And they made 600 engines. They made enough engines for 15 of these things. Um, so if there wasn't the moon contract and it wasn't the reason to go to the moon, then here's my look at the launches, right?
Okay.
So I'm saying in 2026, my baseline is that they'll launch this thing 35 to 55 times baseline. If they fully get up a second or third launch facility and get them approved by the FAA, then they go to 50 to 70,
Wow.
right? So, but then they'll need 9 to 17 flights in next year to do what they need to do to qualify the system, with refueling and a bunch of other things for the moon mission, right? So 25-30% of their flights would be that.
Hmm.
If they don't hit the targets or they're low, if they only do 35 or 30, right, then 50% of their launches have to go to NASA, right?
Hmm.
Because they still are required to follow up and do the NASA thing.
Got it.
They can, what are they doing for the other flights? They're launching version 3 satellites of Starlink, which make them billions of dollars,
Right.
right? They can make way more money doing the Starlink stuff,
Sure.
right? They're already making money of
Right. Right.
from the B2 minis, and they have like nearly 9,000 up there, right? I think like 80.
I thought we had a 10,000 announcement yesterday.
So Mario got it wrong.
Okay. All right.
Other people, so they've launched over 10,000,
I see. Yes, but some have
but
fallen out. Yeah.
they deorbit,
Right.
close to 2,000,
I got you. Okay.
or like 1,500 or like 1,700. So they deorbited a lot. So they didn't fall down. They
Right.
launched so
Right.
many so cheaply that they say anything that's imperfect, I'm not going to deal with imperfect.
Right.
I'm going to just take that away and let it burn up
Mhm.
because I'm going to launch another 28 in 2 days.
Right.
Right. So I don't need to worry about anything that doesn't working right.
Right.
I'm not going to try and make it work. Other guys, it's like not worth my time, which is the same principle as Google data centers for giving out YouTube and for giving out the search,
Mhm.
where they would have 1 million rack PC servers, right? Or 10 million, whatever, for the things. Anything doesn't work, it's just like we no longer bother trying to fix a washer dryer.
Right.
We take that computer thing and then we got to throw it away.
Right.
Because I don't need to figure out if that's not working. I don't care why it's not working. I'm throwing it away.
Right. Right.
So that's the principle of the satellites. Right. Anyway, so they're going to go to ones that are like 20 times the amount of bandwidth, have a lot more people and stuff. They're already making on the order of $10 billion on Starlink. They have 5 million from other sources. They're already profitable as a company. When they get out more dishes, up from like 8 million now up to like 20 million or 25 million next year, their revenue will go up. And especially if they have V3s, they can scale up the number of dishes they have and the amount of money they make. And so their costs aren't going to go up much more, but their revenue will go up. So they'll go from like, making $5 billion and $15 billion in revenue to, $40 billion in revenue and then making $25 billion, right?
Yeah.
So they'll start printing money.
Right.
Right. They already started the printing money faster.
Right.
So all the stuff that they spent on Starship for the purpose of V3 and also for the moon mission, the $3 to $4 billion they're getting from NASA to do the moon mission, of which they've already gotten like 60% of the money. And that's only 10% of what they're spending on Starship.
Okay.
So Starship is this massive development program. The U.S. government is paying 10% of that. It's like I'm doing, like making a bunch of a fleet of 747s, and I'm going to deliver the mail with some of that.
Right.
So they're not charging the government for the full thing, right? Because they're going to make the big money on this. They're just doing it, because they want to go to the moon, because they want to go to Mars, all that kind of stuff. They want the government to pick up some of it.
Yeah.
Right. But it's only 10%.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, to the point of like how fast the things go is how fast you get these launches, because you got to get about a total of 45 done for this. But they did say that they proposed simplifying the program, making it go faster while still staying safe. Right. So so I've done the analysis on that because they didn't tell us. They told NASA they told Sean Duffy, they told whoever that here's what we suggest we do if you want to make sure we go like 12 months faster.
Yeah.
Right. 6 months faster. But you got to agree to it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But until you agree to it, we're not going to talk about publicly. Right. Because if not, we're going to have an argument out in public about how we're going to speed this thing up. Right. But they also said that they talk to them all the time. Say, here's how we do things, because they're the ones delivering everything. Right. To Elon calling Sean Duffy an idiot is that Sean Duffy's new. He has not done space stuff before and does not know all the work they've already done to get to this point.
Right.
Anyway, so then critical to the timeline is how many launches. So then I've done analysis about how to get that 45 down, right? So to get the 45 down is you can maybe shave off like 15, right? So how you do that is that right now they need to do 3 missions out to lunar orbit, 3 test missions out to lunar orbit. So that for the SpaceX architecture, they need to do like 10 refuelings. I need to take up like 100 tons of fuel. Like I'm starting with several thousand, and then when I get up to orbit, I've used up most of it, and I'm left with 100 tons of fuel. Right. So I could have done 100 tons of payload. I only do fuel. So I'm taking fuel up there, and I'm refueling a main starship that's going to go to the moon. Right. So I need 10 of those. Right. So if I do 10 test missions out to the moon, I need 30. I need to do 10 or 15 for the main mission where I'm going to take the humans down. I may do a bunch of other missions testing leading up to it, but fewer to get, so ballparking 45, right? They haven't said exactly. It depends upon how the refueling goes.
Got it.
Right? The reason that they say that maybe Blue Origin could be faster or some other company could be faster is if I go for a tiny repeat of Apollo, right, then I don't need to do much refueling.
Right.
Blue Origin already has a contract because Bezos sued, and then he got his senators to give him a contract. He has another $2-3 million contract to do a moon mission in 2030. And he also has a cargo thing. So he has 2 of them, a cargo thing and a bigger one. The bigger one also needs refueling, right? The smaller one does not need refueling. So they're going to do that next year, where they're going to test this small repeat of and it's unmanned. It's a crude thing, right? So they say, okay, we can take this thing, slap a little Apollo-like capsule on top, and then we can do the 2-person, 4-person little thing. No refueling involved, right? But Blue Origin has only launched once to the New Glenn.
Right.
Everything else is suborbital. All those little taking James Kirk up to suborbit for like 2 minutes.
Right.
Or Katy Perry, that is all suborbital. Going 60 miles and falling down.
Sure.
So the one time they went towards orbit with New Glenn, they launched a mission, like some government defense thing, some tiny thing on it. So the upper stage went and it got out. The booster did not land. It crashed, right? So then booster crash, that's not within the spec, the mission plan. So then FAA says, hey, you've got to look at this thing because you didn't follow the plan, right? And also, so then they figure, oh yeah, we didn't handle sloshing of the fuel. So then we couldn't restart our engines. So then the thing crashed to the ground, right? Actually crashed into the ocean, right? So now 10 months later, they're going to try and do their second launch in November. So a lot rides on that, right? If they have any problem with that, thing doesn't go to orbit, thing goes but loses an engine, or the thing I'm trying to land it doesn't land right, then they're in an FAA investigation. Even if they say recovered the booster, they're in an FAA investigation. Last time it took them 10 months. Maybe they get done in 6, maybe they're in 4. SpaceX has gotten them out in 2 months. But you're early with something that's had problem first launch and problem second launch. You need to take time to figure out what the heck's going on. You just can't just push through that.
Right.
Same thing for SpaceX on the Starship, right? So if they have problems next month, any kind, not perfect, right? Then there's no way that the the government's going to give them like $3 billion, $5 billion to be a backup on the
Right.
thing.
Right.
And the reason that they initially, when they awarded the contract, was normally you pick two, prime and
Right.
secondary backup.
Right.
They said we don't pick secondary because we don't want to spend the money.
Yeah.
So now they're saying spend the money on the backup, right? So it'd be $3 to $5 billion to just get them to the point of having done some uncrewed tests so that they could be there in case SpaceX can't do it.
I see. I see.
Right. So it's $5 billion just in case.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But so right now they're a year late on the mission that's launching in November. Right. That was supposed to launch last year. Right. So you're going for the guys who are a few months late doing all these other launches, and you go to some guys who've done like for their second launch, and they're already a year late on it, right? And if this thing has any problems, it'd be insane. Like they're not speeding up squat, right? So because they would have to go perfect, and if you start giving them money, and then in their early launches next year they have a problem, they again will not have 5 spare launches to do anything that's going to speed up anything. So if they do go perfect, they get to like 10 launches next year, 12 launches next year.
I see.
You're launching NASA, then you have to show, okay, that's all clean, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you can scale up to their plan to go to 24, and then maybe have 5 that you can do. You still have to build your other your lander stuff and do everything else. So it goes perfect, maybe 2029.
Got it.
Right? You're not going to do 2027. You're not going to do 2028. Right? They have to do too many things to get there.
Sure.
Right? So when I run the plan and I give them like everything goes perfect next month, everything goes perfect in the year, it stays perfect, then okay, maybe you do something in 2029. Right? So this is all of this is a backup plan, giving $5 billion. But I don't see any reason why, and SpaceX giving the information is saying we don't need a backup plan. And that if they can get the mission so they're lighter, or I do something in low Earth orbit to prove out the thing without the first one going out to the moon, that could save me like 5-10 launches. If I can double up on some tests to, I'll test this thing and I'll test this thing so that we can, again, save some launches, right? So if they shrink down from 45 down to like 30, right? Then that could shave off a year.
Got it.
Right? And so that's what we don't know that plan on. But basically, that's what it involves. It involves how do I keep it all safe without doing these other tests? Hey, I can combine this, I can combine this. I can, instead of going all the way there, I can go with less fuel.
Right.
So going with less fuel, less tankers, then it involves less launches, we can get there faster. Right?
How many tankers does it take?
We don't know. It can take 10 to 15. Other time they've said 6. So it depends how good you can make your system. They're going to a version 3. You need to be able to take more payload so that you can bring up more fuel.
Right.
They have to make a tanker version of the ship, and how good that is determines that. That also goes to like the other thing you can do is that they have all these Falcon 9 launches. If they took fuel, some tons of fuel out to the moon with a modified Falcon 9, right? With some other mission, whatever like that. If I get tons of fuel onto the moon, then I can land without the extra margin. I can go with less margin because I got like 10 tons of fuel sitting there waiting for me.
Right.
I can then launch off. It doesn't take much fuel to launch off the moon, right?
Yeah.
So I can launch virtually empty and then do stuff. So there's ways that they can save on the Starship launches by going the other way and like say, okay, I'll spend 10 launches to get 10 tons, because they've landed 1-ton payloads, 2-ton payloads onto the moon using Starship. Again, those tiny capsule things. But if I can take cargo to the moon, and there's fuel, then it would change the whole rocket equation of like, I need to carry this fuel they need to come back with. I can take that out, and then that strips out how many refueling they need to do. Instead of going with 10 refueling that could go with maybe 4 or 5,
Got it.
right?
Yeah, yeah, I understand. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's basically
Right.
um, what that situation is. So, and then the amount of these launches, if I have a bunch extra, then we discussed that there's another group trying to launch AI data center chips up into space.
Right.
They ultimately want to use a lot of Starship launches, but based on my analysis, SpaceX won't have a bunch of spare launches until 2029, right?
Wow.
At the earliest, right? To give to other people because they want to launch a lot of V3 satellites
I
because
see.
that will make them like $100 billion, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So, and then, but the other guys are doing this. The people are thinking, oh, they had a big picture where they showed you could make a 5 gigawatt data center. They don't go from like 1 to 1 million, right? That doesn't happen, right?
Yeah, yeah,
They
yeah.
have this other thing called Star Cloud 2, which they would have like a bunch of these solar panels, right?
Hmm.
And then this might be able to have, if you could have 200 kilowatts instead of two kilowatts, I could have 100 chips instead of one,
Mm.
right? The V3 satellites that are coming up, they will be able to have like 50 kilowatts of power.
Mm.
And depending upon how cheap that solar is a big thing. Because there's maybe some ways that SpaceX has gone with not the most expensive solar panels. They
Mhm.
may have some difference between the regular space qualified, space hardened solar panels and what they're doing. So they may have gone cheaper. So the question is it 50% of the cost of that $1 million that is solar panels, or is it only like 10% or 5% or less,
Mhm.
right? That's a big deal because then it would determine, can I make an AI version of version 3 that could then have a megawatt and that could have 500 chips inside it,
Right.
right? But then going from these things bigger and bigger, going to 500 kilowatts, going to a megawatt, and nothing has gone to a megawatt in space. Like even the space station built with 50 shuttle missions did not go to that. And they added some extra solar panels onto it.
Okay.
They're still only at like 400
Mm.
kilowatts, something like that.
Mm. Mm.
So going to hundreds of kilowatts is a big step. It's new. Also, no one else other than SpaceX has put up more than I think 4 megawatts total,
I see.
right? So it's like everything you put up in space, every solar panel
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
on like 100 satellites, I maybe put up four megawatts, right? So the supply chain of space solar, like
Yeah,
people think, oh, we have like 100, 100 gigawatts on Earth of solar, not the same as
yeah,
sticking it up in space,
yeah, yeah.
right? Even though it's the same principle, it's not the same.
Right.
So cost and weight are huge things. The only one who's put up nearly a gigawatt is SpaceX. They
Mm.
put up like, I think over 100 megawatts.
Mm.
And then when they put up thousands of um, V3s, 10,000 V3s,
Mhm.
then they're going to go to, um, 5 gigawatts or something like that, right? So they will have the volume to potentially go to this. But then the difference between this and that is this involves construction,
Mhm.
right? And we have not built squat in space other than the space station,
Yeah.
which is again tiny. It's like the size of one starship,
Right.
right?
Right.
So this is very aspirational. My optimistic path, something like that could happen 2035, 2040.
Got
But
it.
then that's me assuming everything went right.
Right.
Everything goes right on space starship. Everything goes right on solar. Everything goes right, right? And that doesn't happen. So
Right.
then you probably look another 5 years, right? Anyway, so then it's probably many, many steps from here, right?
Mhm.
And this question of like, do I make just a bunch of these, like SpaceX making 30,000 of these V3s, versus assembling them all into one? The air data center, you want to have one. Anyway, but it's all depend upon you got to be launching thousands of times for the Starship.
Got it.
Otherwise, none of this happens.
Got it. Got it. Yeah. All right. So what about the Apple deal? Apple and Starlink.
Um, so has that been confirmed? I know they're talking, but
No,
I
no,
didn't.
that was, I don't think it was a contract. It was like, yeah, talking
Right,
where
right,
Apple's working on their next phone. And
right,
so this would require equipment in the phone
right,
in
right,
order
right.
for it to work. So they got to make a decision fairly soon. So
Right, right.
what is your understanding of what exactly is that going to be? Is that going to be
So that goes to the fact that SpaceX direct to cell phone system
right?
has 650 V2 satellites up there that can do that. Of the 8,800, 9,000 satellites that are up there working, 650 are for direct to cell phone,
Hmm.
right? And so that network is used by T-Mobile, and now they have the EchoStar deal where they'll add this other spectrum in, right? But they need to have new chips to do that. So
Mhm.
the new chips will start production next year. Various companies will make it. To your point, Apple could contract one of them to put them into their phones. So they're moving away from Globalstar. It is the so Globalstar has these older satellites that can provide the communication, but they're basically just doing emergency text messaging or basic text messaging, right? But they're putting up new satellites to do that. But now with the EchoStar deal, Globalstar says, the CEO says, we're going to sell our company
Mhm.
because we won't be able to compete with that.
Mhm.
Before we thought, hey, we have more spectrum, we have better spectrum. SpaceX only has like 10 megahertz with T-Mobile leasing it to them. So thus, our better spectrum, we can still compete. They will have 5 times, 10 times better spectrum. But now with that other deal, SpaceX spectrum is good enough. They think, okay, we're not bearing spectrum. We won't have as many satellites. We're toast,
Right.
right? So, but our spectrum that we do own
Mhm.
is worth something to basically SpaceX,
Right.
right? So Apple owns 20% of them, but Apple is not going to say, I'm going to put up 10,000 satellites to compete with SpaceX, right? Even whatever spectrum deal I got,
Right.
because I can't launch it, right? The only ones can launch it is SpaceX, and then they're going to up the price and not make it worthwhile for me.
Right.
So it's better that I do the deal with SpaceX. So basically, the SpaceX EchoStar deal has put the writing on the wall.
Mhm.
All you other guys are dead trying to do this thing, right? Although AST Space Mobile is trying to compete, they're $40 billion. But again, they have to launch theirs. I can discuss that in more detail. But Globalstar is saying, we're going to throw in the towel probably. So them throwing in the towel, they would have said Apple, supports only if you give us $100 billion to do something, can we have a shot doing this? And then Apple says it's hopeless. It's not going to happen. So then they're going to talk to SpaceX, right? So that's the deal that will happen. So what we're waiting for is Globalstar to sell itself, likely to SpaceX, likely around $10 billion. Right now they're flowing at about $5 billion of market valuation. Their revenue is like 60 million. They're
Mhm.
making virtually no money. So
Yeah.
they're all been valued based on hopes and dreams and
Yeah.
someone buying them, right? And then Apple knows that if I want direct to cell phone, it's going to be SpaceX.
Mhm.
And that's just this. If it's going to be SpaceX, then you have to get your chips aligned with what SpaceX is doing.
But does Apple have any choice? Don't they have to have direct to cell phone? It's
Right, right. It's
not
going to
like
happen over the next
yeah, right.
2 to 4 years where this gets built out in a big way. And so all phones will do that. So they need to do that. Yes.
Which is why you think why you think SpaceX is eventually going to be worth trillions of dollars.
Right, right, right. That they're going to acquire the spectrum. They're
Right.
going to get some L band from Globalstar, all these other companies because they'll have like 15,000 dedicated giant direct to cell phone satellites,
Yeah.
and they'll be able to refresh them and put up even bigger ones and more of them
Right.
later on. Means that they will ultimately win this thing because again, the Blue Origin second alternative is their plans to do 50 launches in 2030, right? That is less, we have 150 launches
Right.
this
Right.
year of Falcon 9,
Right.
right? Fine, it's only half the payload, but that still means mass to orbit is still more than your aspirational 50,
Sure.
right?
Sure. Sure.
And SpaceX is going to get like 100 times bigger with Starship. So thus their monopoly domination of space is them. If you're going to do something in space, you do it with them. And then it's just like you back in the 1960s, you wouldn't have competed with Boeing,
Right.
1960s and 1970s. They have like 10,000 747s. There's no Airbus yet. You're going to use their planes and then do your service separately, right? There's no competing with the dominant player.
And so, because I would say I've been flying for many, many years because I'm old.
Yeah.
I think that having your cell phone work perfectly on the airplane,
Mhm.
probably the best feature that's been added
Mhm.
to flying since they put in the ability to recharge your phone.
Mhm. Right. Right.
So, I mean, it just changed the flight. I mean, you get on
Right.
and it works, and it's like, oh, now it's just like I'm sitting at home. What's the difference? It's like a comfortable chair. Yeah, I got all these people around me, but I can kind of get out of myself here and just do what I do.
Yeah, it's similar to, 15, 20 years ago when people got cell phones usage enough and also being to do long distance calls, where I didn't have to pay the hotel
Yeah,
for
yeah, yeah,
long distance calls or for local calls or whatever. Because back in the day, you'd be charged for that,
yeah,
and the service was terrible,
yeah.
right? So then, you got so that's no longer the case.
All right. Well, I think we covered everything I planned to cover today, unless I left something out that you're aware of.
No, I think we got it all covered.
Okay. All
So, the main thing is Tesla, the Robotaxi rollout, how aggressive that is, that determines the stock price. We seem to be locked on a path where it's going to be at least to a minimum level, and the Elon pay package will pass November 6th. So then, how much do they get more aggressive on that is the question. How aggressive will they talk on November 6th? How aggressive do they announce things after? And then SpaceX is going to win space. It's going to happen. They will be the ones landing on the moon, and so that's what's going to happen. Yeah.
All righty. All right, Brian. As always, great to have you on board. And to all of you out there, it's been great. Oh, wait, Brian.
Yeah.
See, you forgot. There is one more thing
Oh, the book. Yeah.
right
Yeah.
there. I mean, it's like, staring us in the face. Let me see here.
Yeah.
Let me move my, okay. So, yes. So the book,
Yeah. Keep it in the frame. Yeah.
yeah, people have to go buy the book here. It's
Hold
time
it. Hold it up.
to
Yeah.
go buy the book. I mean, the audio should be out middle of next week. I'm hoping maybe sooner, but it's all up to Amazon at this point to approve it. And 24 5-star reviews,
Mhm.
and all going good.
Wonderful. AI rising. It's
AI
what
rights.
people
That's
need to
it.
look
And of
at.
course, the information is in the description below.
Okay. Thank you.
Been great
Bye.
talking.